welcome to this channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, I'm going to cover the stock for WolfSpeed, and the objective is to get you guys information on their fundamentals and the technicals, because you got to combine both of them to get the best of the both world and to be able to actually make money, right? It's not like, I've seen a lot of videos where they're just trying to talk about 1 minute play, 5 minutes play. Everybody don't have time like that, right? We cannot sit in front of the computer trying to figure out the play if you're using, for example, Robinhood, right? So what objective? My objective here is to get you guys information on a daily basis, right? Like, for example, if you're looking at a play, that play is not going to happen within that 5 minutes, all right? You have 4-hour window for a new bar to be created, right? At the same time, as I always advise everybody, is you got to have a stop loss. You got to have a threshold when you get into a position, right? You got to have that 5% or 10%, whatever your capacity is. If you're spending $100 and if you say, you know what, I'm going to get into this position for $100, you have to have a stop loss in there, right? Before you even go for the position, you already know that, okay, if this stock falls below 5%, which is you're losing $5, I'm going to come out of the position. I don't care. I'll make that money again when the stock is going back up. But a lot of time people get into a stock without putting any stop losses and hoping for the best, right? Something that could just trigger the stock, take off, like GameStop or, AMC, for example, when they were popping off. It's not a meme stock, right? You got the stock market. It doesn't work with memes, right? It has to be thought out. It has to be a strategic way of making money. You cannot just come in and just put in the money and beginner's luck and hope for the best. All this is good. It might work in your favor, but long term is a disaster, right? You always have to have a cost of business. So think of it like a business, and you have a cost of business. So always put your stop losses first before you even talk about putting in a position, right? So let's talk about the fundamentals of this company, WolfSpeed Inc. It's a big company. It's a large company. It's $14.17 billion is a market cap. On an average, they trade about 2 million stocks, which means if you do get into a position for the stock, you can actually come out of the position right away. You don't have to wait till 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 10 minutes for your position to be filled. If you're trying to buy it, sell it, however it is, it's going to be a quick fill in, right? On close of business day of Friday, they did 2.1 million, which means they did 1 million greater than what on an average they do, right? Which is a good thing, right? Again, that helps selling the stock, buying the stock, etc. As far as the balance sheet is concerned, total assets about $3.9 billion. Now, you got to, even though this is million right here, you got to times it with 1,000. So it becomes $3.9 billion. So it's a fairly large company. Total liabilities, they have about $1.4 billion. Total equity, they have about $2.4 billion. Okay, which is a good balance sheet. It's a good number. As far as the cash flow is concerned, operating cash flow is about $154 million. Again, you got to take this number, times it with 1,000, it becomes negative $154 million. Operation is not successful when you see a negative number against an operation, operating cash flow, which means that the operation is really not making money. However, given the fact that their financing cash flow is really high, which is giving them a great position. They have a lot of money on hand. They have about $449 million in hand, which is a great news, because if they liquidate, they go bankrupt, for example, at least they'll have enough money to fulfill their debts and things like that. If somebody has preferred stock, they'll be able to get their money back, etc., etc. As far as the institutional banks are holding for the stock, it's a phenomenon, right? They hold more than 100%, right? Which means the stock has synthetic stocks in the market, which means that if you cannot, ownership greater than 100%, it means that there are stocks that are being shorted, for example, or synthetic stocks that actually don't exist. Ownership greater than 100%, you already know there's some synthetic stuff is going on. But anyway, so it's 105%. Institutional banks are holding 124 million stocks they hold, which is a great number for institutional banks. As far as the analysts from these different firms like JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Piper, basically they think it's a strong buy. Okay, they think the average price of the stock is about $112, and the highest it could get to $130, and the lowest it could get to $80. Okay, now what levels I have here for technicals, right? Let's talk about how much a stock moves in a given day, right? The stock moves in an average. I'm on a 4-hour chart, which means every candle represents 4 hours on a day. The stock moves about $3.67, which is a good thing, right? Because you don't want to have a stock that moves only 20 cents or 30 cents in a given period, and you're looking to make big money, but you're not realizing the stock really don't move that much in a given period, right? So that's the problem that I see a lot of people don't talk about, is how much the stock really moves in a given day. Yeah, good, is making green candles, but how much does it translate into money, right? In this case, for example, if I'm looking at a 4-hour play, I know that the stock is going to move about $3, right, next 4 hours, right? So the levels of resistance I have here, it's about $117 and also $120 or so, right? So right now the stock is sitting around 114, which holds true, right? Because it's already breaking out from here. So and of course the candle demonstration is that candle right here. That means that they are more bullish than bearish, and which means the stock is going to take off on Monday, and the stock is definitely potentially can hit 117. Of course, when it hit 117, it could come back down, and it could come back down right here and then go back up. But there's a zone right here, which I think the stock could get to is 123, 120, 121. There's a zone right here. These two things is like a zone, for example, right? It could potentially come here again, but it's a $3 play if you think about it. Now, again, this is not a financial advice. However, this is what I'm looking at right now, right? As far as the RSI is concerned, is about 59.60, which means the stock is above 50. Potentially, the stock is still can move up to 70, right? Anything above 70 means the stock is being overbought. If you see here, for example, there's a big green candle. The RSI is like 80 right there, right? Goes up all the way. The RSI is still like above 77, right? So right here, it looks like it's flatlined right here, like accumulation, and then it could potentially go up. MACD also looking like it's going to cross over the signal line. So it looks like the stock is looking in a more bullish in a way, which means that potentially it could get to 117, on Monday. But again, I'm going to look at this play. I'm going to see how the start of the day looks like, right? If it's looking green, I'm definitely getting in. And if I see like a little bit of a, momentum loss here or something, and I'm seeing there's not a lot of demand for the stock at that point, it could potentially go down. However, my play is going to be like, I'm going to get in, right? I'm going to have my 10% loss threshold. And then if I come out of the position, no problem. I'll come out of the position and I'll get into it again. I have won a lot of positions like that where my stop losses is, for example, 7% or 10% or 5%, given on which stock I'm looking at. I have, let's say, lost 2 positions, but I have won the 1 position that I won. I made up for the 2 losses plus the profit that I made on top of that, right? So you always look at these things just like that. You think of it like business. You don't think of it like gambling. You got to know about the company, as we talked about. Institutional banks holding more than 100%, which means institutional banks, which are your investment like hedge fund manager and things like that, right? They're holding big money for the stock, which means the stock is not going anywhere. So again, they think the stock average price is going to be 130. It's already at 114. I think it's, a give and take is about 123 is the average price of the stock. You got to get in. Again, not a financial advice, but in my opinion, you got to look at the stock on Monday. Definitely check it out. It's a 4-hour chart that I'm looking at right now. So every bar represents 4 hours. So the next 4 hours, if it's picking up, and it's going to move $3, as we said, right? So if it's picking up and I'm looking at $3 profit, even a little bit of quantity is going to give me good money. If I make $300, $400 a day, I'm good money. So look, this is my video for today. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.